Despite the Dow's record level, stocks remain the cheapest since 1997. Our senior markets correspondent Julie Hyman has more with this. And Julie, with stocks at or near records, I know they're coming down a bit today. The valuations, how do they look?
Well, on a relative basis, Betty, they look cheaper than they have been at previous peaks. That's something that some investors who are more on the bullish side have been talking about. So if you look at the S&P 500 versus its price to earnings ratio, which is one of the main ways that you measure valuations, and you go back to the prior two peaks, the upper line that you see there, stocks, the bottom line, the valuations. And as you can see, much cheaper now on this basis, about 15 times, a little bit more times earnings is where we have the S&P 500 priced right now. That's a reason, bulls say, to get into this market. And yet investors haven't been doing so, at least not in any great numbers. Yes, we have seen stocks going up, but it's not necessarily mutual funds that are going there. In other words, individual investors. That can be measured by mutual fund flows. In other words, deposits into people's mutual funds. How are they moving money around? This year, we have seen $20 billion go into stock funds, which is a little bit of a reversal. However, at the same time, we've also seen $44 billion go into bond funds. And that chart is a primary reason there. The Fed-fueled rally that so many investors have talked to us about, Betty, on this show, where they have talked about the Fed is underpinning the market and forcing people into bonds. And some investors I spoke to, including Barry Knapp over at Barclays, say, you know what, you're not going to see more of a meaningful rotation into stocks until the Fed starts to move away from what it's been doing in terms of quantitative easing. However, on the bullish side of the equation, folks who are more optimistic say that the lack of movement into stocks meaningfully and out of bonds mean that there is still a lot of way to go, a lot of room to go with this particular rally. So we'll see what happens if indeed the Fed is needed to sort of trigger more of a meaningful rotation.